Hello, this is Elizabeth with Southern Embellishments, and I'm here to show you one of my altered books that I did. I love doing altered books. They are so much fun, and appreciate all the tutorials out there that give us ideas for these. I did this one. This is using Dreams, etc., Jane Austen, and it's Pride and Prejudice. But I think it's called Simply Jane is the paper line. And of course my daughters and I, we love anything Jane Austen. We just love it. So this just was my thing. I loved it. So I had to make an altered book out of it. So I'm just going to kind of do a flip through real quick with you. And I found this book, if you can see the pink right there, which I thought went with the pictures. I found the book. I always get my books either at garage sales or thrift stores, and I found this one at a thrift store, and it had the pink already, and so I didn't paint it or anything. I didn't cover it. I just thought it was a great border for the papers. And on these papers, it's really great because they're already, I tea dyed them, but they look already, kind of vintage and grungy and stuff like that. So you don't have to really do a lot. They're already beautiful the way they are. And thank you to Dreams, etc. for making such beautiful, beautiful digital downloads. And we can link her link to her website, or her Etsy shop, I'm sorry, down below. She's got beautiful digital downloads. The only thing I did on this one was I added a little stamp here and here, and then on the back, so each corner the little stamp, and it just added a little touch to it. I used binding, regular book binding, and which I already had this color, which worked great. Little piece of lace, like from the Lace Place. You've heard me talk about that, and we'll link that below because you really need to check it out. They've got great lace for great prices, and then did the thing on the back. Now these pages come side by side. I just cut them into and put them in. It has Pride and Prejudice, which is one of Jane Austen's books. And I did the simple, you know how you do the simple binding. You don't sew your signatures in. You normally use twine or embroidery thread or something like that. But instead I had dyed this ribbon with pink Kool-Aid, and then I spritzed it with some pink, trying to think, I think it was Tattered Angels. It was a Tattered Angels spray. So that's where you get the two different colors. And so I took and what I did with the signatures is in the middle of each signature, I used double-sided tape. I sewed the signatures. I didn't leave them unsewn. I did sew each signature in and of itself. And then to bind it to the book cover, I did double-sided tape, ran the seam binding up and around, and I double-sided taped the seam binding there too. I wanted to make sure it just stayed good and solid and sturdy and steady. And so I taped it clear up to there, and then I just tied it in a bow and added this little, hopefully I'm still in frame, added this little rose charm and tied that around with the lace. I just ran it up through the bow, tied it on with the lace. It has 4 signatures, 1, 2, 3, 4 signatures, and to show you, they are in there good and solid, and so they just don't even move. So I like doing it that way. So I sewed the signature, and then I taped with the seam binding. I taped that in. This is a digital download, and I love it. I've used it a lot on the inside of my books. I just think it's beautiful. You can almost add it to any vintage, shabby chic. It just goes so beautiful. It's got so many colors in it. It goes with a lot. And then a little bit of lace. Here's the first signature. And I did all the signatures in the same order. They just have a different cover on the signature. But here's one that has lines for journaling. And I did coffee and tea stain on this. Then I added a genuine piece of parchment paper, which you can get this. It's called Plymouth.com, I believe, and they have the genuine parchment paper. You can also use your 40% off coupon for Hobby Lobby, and they carry it there in the where they have the paints and the artist brushes and things like that. They have it in that area. It's not in the scrapbooking area. And I love to add it. I love the feel and the texture of it and the look of it. And that's where I did little tuck spots with. This is the there's a sheet of ephemera that comes with the Simply Jane. I think it may be an add-on, and they have the little cards with quotes, either from the book or from Jane Austen herself. This says, to flatter and follow others without being flattered and followed in turn is but a state of half enjoyment. So they have different little quotes like that through. And then I would do a couple of more coffee tea dyed, and then I did in the middle of each signature, I did the Kool-Aid, the pink lemonade Kool-Aid dye, which I think is awesome. Rounded the corners. On each one, I took these little library cards that I downloaded. I believe this is from, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but if I remember right, this is from, I think it's called From the Heart Digital Downloads. I believe it was from her, and I'm sorry if I have that wrong. And then I just went online and got Jane Austen quotes that I liked and wrote them on the library cards with, her name at the top. Had a little paper clip with the lace. So when you're looking from the top, you have the little lace pieces, which I think always looks nice. And this little quote is, there is no charm equal to tenderness of heart. And that is so true. Must have been a wise woman. And then the rest of the other side of the parchment. And this was my funnest part. Funnest, I'm sure that's a word. This was my most enjoyable part of the whole book. I love it. I fell in love with it. Now here is another a piece of ephemera. Both of these are pieces of ephemera from the Simply Jane kit. But what I did is I took and I downsized to, I think it was 3 by 4, I believe. I downsized the papers that I used on the signatures, and I made these little itty bitty tiny books that are so adorable. I think they're gorgeous. I love them. Come on, ladies, you know we love miniatures. And I bound them just like I did the big ones. And for each one, I just made a little, punched a little hole with my big bite and made a little bookmark. And on each one has a different charm. This one is a little heart with the little piece of bling in the middle. And in each signature, I put one of these little books, and each one has a different, I'll show you as we go through the book. And I love it. I thought, oh, I love these little tiny books. They're so sweet. And I left journaling spots in there too. And then there's the other side of that cover. Now, I believe this was from, this cover itself was, I don't think it was Simply Jane. I think it was another Jane Austen. No, this was Marie Antoinette, but the rest of them were Jane Austen. Simply Jane. Here is the next signature. It has the beautiful roses. And again, a couple coffee dyed papers. This was a piece of the ephemera that comes with the Simply Jane packet. Put on the parchment paper, and I glued that down and left it like that. This has a neat print on that. You just never know how the coffee and tea is going to come out. And then here's the center of this one. And again, here's the library card with another quote of Jane Austen. There is nothing like staying at home for real comfort. And I love being at home, so that spoke to my heart. And then the other side of the parchment, and another little tiny miniature book. This came with the kit, and this tag came with the kit. And then this was the cover for this little miniature book and the bookmark. And this has got a little, let me see if I can, like, a little rose attached to it. This book is worth having just for the little miniature books. I love them. I love them, I love them, I love them. And that's the other side of that, which I think is beautiful. Pride and Prejudice, the novel. I love it. It's just a beautiful picture of the lady. And then here is a quote, or like a letter that was in the novel, and beautiful image of the lady. And here I just took a piece of cardstock, the craft cardstock. I edge punched it. I hope you can see that against the background there. And put in, here are a couple other of the tags. And coffee dyed them. I can actually still smell the coffee, which is always enjoyable when you're flipping through the book. The other little, this was the page here that looks like little postage stamps on the back with the little bookmark, and you can see the coffee tea dyed papers inside. And this has got a little little silver fan charm on it. And then the next side of the parchment, and I thought these were nice. It's like a big ticket. It gives you plenty of room to journal on. And the lady's silhouette is in the packet also. And this is all in the Simply Jane collection. Here's the center of this signature, and this is a quote. It says, "To sit in the shade on a fine day and look upon verdure," I'm probably saying that not as beautiful as they do, is the most perfect refreshment. And that just, if you're like me, I had to look up the word verdure. But it is, watch the foliage, look at the flowers, that sort of thing. So it's just, think of sitting in a beautiful garden, and it is refreshing. So you probably knew what that word meant. I had to look it up. That's fine. I don't mind admitting that. And but it is beautiful to think about sitting in a garden. That is refreshing, just to sit there and enjoy the beauty of the garden. Here's the other side of the parchment paper on this signature. With this was a, I just wrapped that around. It was a tag, and I wrapped it around. And so to make it a little tuck spot, and images of from the book. And then there's the back of that signature. And then here's our last signature. Beautiful silhouette of the woman there with some of the handwriting from letters and things. And I thought this coffee stain turned out really nice. And here's the parchment. Here's one of the tags. The little, I just fussy cut the ephemera pieces to make them tuck spots. And in the middle is the last quote, and it is, "What is right to be done cannot be done too soon." I love that. So when we know to do, even the Bible says, when we know to do right and doeth it not, shame on us. We need to do things right. And when we know to do the right thing, we need to do it as soon as we can. So I like that quote. And then here's my last little tiny miniature book here tucked in the pocket. Again, I did the craft cardstock with the punch. And this, when I was, this was kind of one of those perfect imperfections, I think we call it. When I was coffee dyeing this beautiful image I had fussy cut out, she became, you know how when you coffee dye, the paper can kind of get fragile, and so her bottom half was cut off, and I thought, oh, I don't want to lose it, so I just tucked the rest of her into this envelope. So if you look down in there, she's chopped up, but so you never know if you don't look. And here's the postcard from the collection. And then the last little book, it's got this cover and the bookmark, and it's just got a little pearl charm on it. I had a lot of fun putting this together. I love the papers. I'm looking forward to filling a book with all things Jane Austen. And here's again the last page with the lace. This is the last. I think that's just beautiful, beautiful place for a picture. And that's my Simply Jane from Jeans Etc. altered book. Thank you for joining me today, and please leave your comments below and subscribe.